The NFL annual meetings have kicked off this past weekend, and of course, our newest head coach was in attendance, being a menace on day one, sitting next to his arch rival, Jim Harbaugh. Outside of that, this isn't the offseason without any rumors, so with that being said, could the Raiders be interested in trading for Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, bring that in, Oos. Get that shit going, Oos.
All of that and more in this video, but first, if this is the very first time you guys are coming across this channel and you love daily Raider content, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button just to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. First things first, let's talk about the annual meetings and everything that we heard coming out of that. Now, of course, Pete Carroll and John Spytek was in attendance, and there was a lot of reporters, a lot of media out there covering a lot of things, and there was a lot of interesting things that we could take away from today's meetings. And of course, we had to hear Pete Carroll's thoughts on his former and now new quarterback, Geno Smith.
Getting Geno was a really important part of this puzzle, putting it together. And we've had really a rich background. It's really important to me because I know what we can count on. We have a guy that's such a great worker. He's grown so much through his career, been through so much and overcome so much. I love the way he approaches the game. He's serious, he's competitive, works his tail off, and he's a great leader in that regard. Leads the guys by the way he takes to the game, and man, he's talented, really talented. And so I think the Geno story, it's worth mentioning. The guy sat for almost 6 years, and in that time, one, he didn't get the wear and the tear, so that's why he moves so well. He runs really well still, but he took to the game in a manner that was very impressive. He was able to, one day after another, take it like the very next play I'm playing. And I watched him for the 4 straight years when he wasn't playing, just never missed that opportunity to be focused in that manner. I mean, it's just ridiculously impressive, So anyway, when he finally played, look what he's done. He's had 3 winning seasons, and he's a tremendous completion guy. He's durable, he's tough. So we're really, really fortunate to have him.
Also, to add on to that, Vinny B reported that Coach Pete Carroll, among many, feels the Raiders got better through the first phase of free agency. He's fired up about the new secondary players and new linebackers Devin White and Elandon Roberts. And when asked about a new contract for Geno Smith, he quickly said that they're working on it. Now, of course, we know that Pete Carroll is really high on Geno Smith, which is the reason why we traded for him, especially this early on in the offseason, which I think was a good move for the Raiders, especially knowing that that was a big position of need for this team. Also, on top of that, we don't have to worry about the quarterback position moving forward in free agency, which we went out and addressed a lot of other pieces on this team, especially defensively. We haven't really gotten a lot of offensive pieces outside of getting, offensive lineman Alex Kappa and even bringing in Raheem Mostert, just to name a few. But most of our players been on the defensive side of the ball after losing a lot of key pieces, from Trayvon Merrick to Robert Spillane to Divine Diablo, Nate Hobbs, the list goes on. We brought in a lot of players that have a lot of chip on their shoulders, and he stated that he's really excited to see what they have. These are all guys that are going to come into the season ready to prove something. And if there's anything that we know from Pete Carroll, his forte has always been bringing the best out of players, especially players that haven't been utilized everywhere else and players that, just has something to show. And most of the players that we do have on this roster definitely has potential. And most of them came on a really team-friendly contract, which is good for this team. Now, I know outside of all of that, Geno Smith's name has been brought up so much, especially as of late, wondering where Geno Smith is right now, what the update is. But knowing that Pete Carroll simply saying that they're working on it means that, the team and Geno Smith are just trying to figure something out, come down to a number. And I believe that Vinny B said earlier, I could be wrong, it was Vinny B or one of these reporters reported that everything is coming down to what the extension will be, on top of that what the guarantees will be. Now, hopefully they do get a deal done pretty soon and we could see Geno Smith at the headquarters and address the Raider Nation and go out there and do his thing and not have to worry about this going into the draft. Now, with this said though, with all the Geno Smith news, knowing that he's most likely going to be the guy moving forward, it does not mean that the Raiders are not going to be looking into the draft and finding the predecessor, the guy that's going to take over and a guy that could come in and compete. Because according to Ryan McFadden, he tweeted out that the Las Vegas Raiders head coach Pete Carroll also stated that he is open on a possibility of drafting a quarterback in the 2025 NFL draft. Even if it's not in round 1, Carroll is interested to see what prospects are all on the board during the draft. Now, I don't think that this is breaking news at all, but it just solidifies something that we all know, that the Raiders are still going to draft a quarterback. And if they don't get one in the first round, because I know that Shedeur Sanders has been pretty high, and I believe is going to be that guy if he's sitting there at number 6. But outside of that, I kind of listed some of the most realistic options for the Raiders, especially for the quarterbacks that we could bring in. Now, there's only realistically for me like 6 quarterbacks that I would want the Raiders to go out and draft, and I kind of broke it down in different tiers and different rounds of where the Raiders can get these different quarterbacks. So of course, in the first round with the 6th overall pick, Shedeur Sanders would be the first guy on the list. If he's there, I'm running to the podium, I'm grabbing him. No matter what anybody says, he would be the perfect quarterback to back up Geno Smith. But hypothetically, if he's not there, which a lot of people don't think that he will be there, Jackson Dart is another name that could easily be there, and that is flying up the draft boards. Now, I do believe that number 6 is pretty high to get Jackson Dart, but knowing if the Raiders do like him that much, he could be a surprise pick for the Raiders. But I'd be more comfortable in the Raiders trading back in the first round, or maybe trading up into the first round to select Jackson Dart if that's the guy that you want to go with. Now, a quarterback that could be there in the second round that I would love to see on the Raiders is Jalen Moreau, who coincidentally had a visit with the Raiders, and reports on top of that have come out saying that the Raiders are pretty high and intrigued with Jalen Moreau, and he's a guy that I have stated that I would love to have on the Raiders. I think he would be perfect in Chip Kelly's system, and a guy that could sit for many years would be perfect to sit behind Geno Smith, learn the system, get acclimated with the NFL, and when it's his time, he could definitely be the most dynamic quarterback coming out of this year's draft. Just got to clean up a couple of things, fix his accuracy issues and just his presence in the pocket. Other than that, he has every single tool to succeed in the NFL, and in the second round, I think would be perfect for the Raiders if they went in that direction. Now, the other 3 quarterbacks that I got my eye on is quarterbacks that I could see falling into the 3rd to 5th round. And those guys being, of course, quarterback Will Howard out of Ohio State, somebody that has all the intangibles, that has worked with Chip Kelly already. Then you got another quarterback in Quinn Ewers, who showed out at the Combine and is one of those underrated quarterbacks that I feel like can be one of those guys that could succeed at the next level, as well as Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. Of course, a small quarterback, but reminds me so much of Russell Wilson coming out of the NFL draft. He could be the next Russell Wilson for Pete Carroll. Who knows? Those are most likely going to be the quarterbacks that I see the Raiders drafting. I know there's other guys like Brady Cook, Tyler Shuck, and whoever else is out there. But if we end up drafting any one of those guys, then I don't see them being quarterbacks of the future. With that said, though, Raider Nation, what do you guys think about what Pete Carroll had to say about Geno Smith? And on top of that, who would be a quarterback that you guys would love to see on this team be the backup to Geno Smith and possibly be the future for the Raiders at the position? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, let's talk about another player, especially a former Raider, Hunter Renfrow. Now, I talked about Hunter Renfrow, I believe in the last video or the 2 videos ago, about the possibility of him coming to the Raiders because he had that meeting with the team. Now, Spytech was asked about him, and this is what he had to say. "We were just visiting and checking in on him. I'll just say he's in a really good spot now where he wants to continue his career. We would be remiss if we didn't think about it." Now, if there's anything that I would say about this new regime is that they're doing their due diligence and keeping their options open to any possibility at any position. And of course, Hunter Renfrow, who last played with the Raiders and hasn't been seen since, is definitely an option for this team. And I feel like I said it in that video, would be a perfect wide receiver 3 or 4 on this team, and especially a player that could go and fit into the slot. Now, of course, with these comments, it's not really saying much, and who knows if they're really going to bring him in or not. I feel like the Raiders are most likely going to wait until after the draft and see what they do until they go and revisit this. Whether they want to go out and get Tyler Lockett, whether they want to bring in Hunter Renfrow, or if any of these other, veteran wide receivers are still going to be available after the draft, they're just going to fill in their needs where they need to. But as far as Hunter Renfrow, I do really hope that they could consider bringing him back, because I just feel like he would be a perfect piece on this team, and I don't think it would cost the Raiders that much. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, another wide receiver out there. I know we've talked about so many receivers during the offseason, so many different possibilities, from DK Metcalf to Alec Pierce to all these other names. Heck, even Amari Cooper and George Pickens. But one name that has recently been brought up has been Tyreek Hill. Now, of course, the Raiders are in need of a wide receiver and could consider Miami Dolphins' Tyreek Hill, who has recently been linked to trade rumors following the 2024 season and now after tweeting the peace sign. In response to that, Adam Rank of the NFL Network suggested a certain AFC West team, which is why I'm talking about it right now. Despite having a down year with 959 receiving yards due to quarterback injuries, with his age and contract situation, it could make Hill an affordable option for the Las Vegas Raiders. Before you guys go out there and shoot me with this and say this is all BS or whatnot, I'm just speaking out of hypothetics, and the Raiders were brought up into this whole situation, and knowing that the team does need wide receiver help, of course, I'm going to talk about any wide receiver that the Raiders could possibly go out and get. And as for Tyreek Hill, would I want Tyreek Hill on the Raiders? Hell yes. I believe that Tyreek Hill, even at his age of 31 years old, would be an immediate upgrade as a wide receiver one and could be a deep threat in the offense and a perfect receiver for Geno Smith's arm strength. Of course, if possible, what would it cost the Raiders to get somebody like Tyreek Hill? It's all going to depend on what the Dolphins want to do. Now, the Dolphins could either keep him or release him, but seeing all the cryptic signs and seeing how frustrated Tyreek Hill is with the Dolphins and wanting to move on, there could be a possibility where the Dolphins actually release him, giving him an option to go find any team that he wants to go to. Now, putting that aside and saying that that's not an option, the other option is trading him away. And I feel like the Dolphins, if they were to trade him away, they would want a lot in return. And the Raiders, I just don't know if we would want to do that. I can possibly see the Dolphins asking for a second round, multiple second rounds, or even third round, maybe even a first round, as much as a first round, depending on what team is willing to give that up. And at that price, I would gladly pass on Tyreek Hill. Even though I would love him on this team, I wouldn't want to pay too much, especially knowing that he could possibly ask for more money in an extension. So in all seriousness, as much as I would love to see Tyreek Hill in the silver and black, and just imagining how great he would be on this offense, especially if we were to add more offensive pieces in the draft, I highly doubt that the Raiders make the move for Tyreek. Plus, we have a receiver with similar skill sets. Not saying that he's as good as Tyreek Hill, but provides speed as a deep threat and Trey Tucker. So in that case, maybe the Raiders don't need to go out and get a guy like Tyreek Hill. My most realistic options for the Raiders right now, I would say, is getting Tyler Lockett, or going out and signing Hunter Renfrow, or maybe even trading for a guy like Alec Pierce. Those would be the only options that I could see as realistic and possible moves that I would love to see happening that wouldn't cost the Raiders that much. But with that said though, Raider Nation, of course, I just wanted to bring this up, talk about Tyreek, give you guys my 2 cents on the whole situation, on whether or not I would want to bring him in, but also ask you guys, what do you guys think? Would you guys want to bring in Tyreek Hill? Would you trade for him? And what would you trade up to get Tyreek Hill to bring him over here to the Las Vegas Raiders? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next video, this your boy Simone Raider, and your boy is, yeah.